All right. I think we are live in the Empowered Mom Studios. It says so. And I'm recording just in case Facebook does that thing that makes me annoyed. So today it's all about the crumbs and taking them and making a cake. Now, I came to this idea earlier in class because Sasha was sharing. Hi, Sasha. Love you if you're watching later about borrowing esteem in our higher level virtual coach accelerator. It's awesome, by the way. If you have been in the virtual coach community and you haven't jumped into accelerator and you feel the time is right for you, highly, highly recommend it. Anyway, back to what I was saying though, is that we were looking at our superpowers. And I noticed, and I've done a lot of work on myself, a lot of introspection. I've always been a very introspective person, but 2023 was really me diving deep into what my superpowers were so that by 2024 I could take the gloves off, as I talked about yesterday, and really go for all of my ambitions, all of my dreams. And there was a time in my life when I just accepted crumbs. And I've shared this before too. Some of you who already know about my story, I mean, I settled in relationships, in friendships. People took advantage of me. I gave and gave to the point of depletion. I was like, people would say, "Oh, what do you want for your birthday?" And I'd be like, "Oh, I don't need anything." I was afraid to take, I wouldn't receive. If people wanted to buy me something or offer to pay for something, I'd feel really guilty around that. And now I'm like, I am going to take on whatever the universe wants to give me and I'm going to enjoy it. At the same time, sometimes I've been handed crumbs. So, full disclosure, even though this space looks pretty awesome and I've done my best to make things so pretty, I am in a one bedroom basement suite currently. The reason for that is because I want to live below my means. And also, I'm not at the point yet where I would feel comfortable consistently being able to be like, okay, yeah, I'll drop like $2,000 or more on rent. No, I'm still staying in this space because even though I have more to work with each month, it's more like if I get extra, I'm not going to suddenly go, "Oh, cool, I have more money. I'm going to immediately go and change my entire lifestyle." Doesn't make sense to me. Never has, never will. I am constantly thinking, if I get more abundance in, how can I use that and also give it back out into the world? So sometimes I get more than I need. And I'm like, how can I redistribute that? One example is, of course, I get some free food from the school. Like they have a program. We take what we need from that. And anything that I know that the kids are probably not going to get to, or they're not going to eat it, and it's just going to sit there. I'm like, why would we just let that sit in the back room? So we take what we need and then we redistribute it to others who need it. So that's one level. If people give me clothes for the kids, I'm like, okay, well, they'll wear this, they'll wear that, but they probably won't wear half of this stuff, and I'm going to pay it forward. Even when my house burned down, I was bombarded with clothes, and some of it fit. It was really good, but it's like, I've got too much. So I told people, it's like, look, I'm putting these clothes out, and the thing is that you're not, I don't want to see it on any sell sites. I don't want to see like you trying to hike up the price or anything. The idea is you take everything. So I said you had to take all the boxes, and there was a lot. Take what you need from it and then pay it forward. Put it back on the pay it forward site. So that way it would go to people in need. And I'm constantly doing this. I'm constantly looking for things that I don't need anymore, the crumbs that I might have got before, the stuff that I held on to before that no longer serves my life, no longer is working for me and the kids. And instead of hanging on to it, I'm like, it's gone. The only exception to that is my DVD video collection. Like that is like a thing for me because what if streaming, like sometimes streaming doesn't work. And if there's a movie I really want to watch and it's not available on streaming, well, I've got the backup of the DVD player. So I can go and I can watch that because I have a PlayStation 4 and it plays DVDs. So I have my DVD collection. That was one of the things I saved. I have a gaming collection. That was another thing I saved from the fire and salvaged and went through the process of cleaning everything, and my books. I love my books. I'm never getting rid of my books. My books will travel with me. I love them to pieces because when I was a little girl and I saw Beauty and the Beast for the first time, and the Beast gives Belle that library, and she's just like overcome with joy at seeing those books all like in those beautiful shelves. And I'm like, I want that. So, yeah, my books are one of the things in my collection that no, I'm probably not going to get rid of my whole collection. Might get rid of a few if they really don't speak to me anymore. And at the same time, I have a vast collection of books and I'm not done. I'm not done by a long shot. But this is again about holding on to the crumbs because I was given so little and I had grown up in low income and taking what I could get and taking what I could get from friendships and from relationships and all of that and thinking, oh, if I only make a little bit of money, that'll be okay. If I can just make enough to survive, that will be okay. If I can just get, like, say, a book out and get some sales from the book, that will be okay. And then there was the other piece that I was holding back on my actual dream of owning the bakery. Like, not an actual bakery. I don't want to own a bakery. But like the idea is like, instead of just having these crumbs that I can kind of piece together and make a cake out of it and be happy with this cake that I made out of these crumbs, well, I could also get to a place where I can buy a cake and I don't have to piece together those crumbs. And then I can also go and buy the bakery and then I can have the cake all the time and I don't even have to buy the cake. I can just have the bakery and they can custom make me a cake and I can have people. Like, that's the idea. If you have something in your life where you've recognized, like, I'm happy with where I'm at. Yeah, it'd be nice to have that, but I probably should just be happy with the crumbs. I'm going to tell you, you can also get to a point where it's like, yeah, I can make a cake out of these crumbs. I can do that. Or that's time consuming. My time is valuable. I'm just going to buy a freaking cake. Or, you know what? I want the custom cake and like, it's not even like, I don't even have to buy the cake anymore. I want the bakery. Go for the dream, go for the ambition. Now, there's a piece to this, though, that I'm going to share another little story around this. Because as I said, we're in a basement suite right now, and it's one bedroom. One bedroom, one mom, two kids. One of those kids is a preteen boy who is fed up, like seriously fed up with being in a room with us. And I'm not quite ready for us to relocate yet because the school that the kids are in is a really, really good school. They have so much support for what my kids need. And it's right across the street. Me moving would possibly take us away from that school when we still need it. And when I have also chosen, I don't have my driver's license. So I had the ability to get it. I could get my L again tomorrow easily. I was able to take the test and they actually said, you passed the test before they even finished all the questions. So that's easy. I could do that and I could go and get the skills to drive. I'm not afraid of that anymore. At the same time, I'm living below my means and it doesn't seem like time effective for me to be driving right now. And it doesn't seem like it would be cost effective for me to be taking on the insurance and all of that. So I don't drive, which means, again, I need to be close to a bus route, which we are. Would just go down the hill and it's right across the street from the kids at school. Or I can take the kids to school. I just zip them across the street and then I go and I do my classes and I do my stuff. So I can work right up to the second that the bell rings And that's if I even go across the street at all. The kids just come across on their own now because Hunter's at that age. So I'm at this point, it's like, okay, this place still works, sort of. Luckily, I have a back room. It's like it's a basement and it's storage right now. And I'm like, we could turn that space. My stepbrother had even suggested this, like we could turn that space into a room for Hunter. So he'd have his own space. Hunter's fine with this, by the way. He's happy with this. He actually is like, yeah, Mom, I actually cleared out more cardboard for Dad to take to burn because my ex has he likes to have a little house, like a little fire in his backyard. It's something that he enjoys. So I'm like, hey, if you need stuff to burn, I've got cardboard, so just take the cardboard. I win, you win. Hunter gets his room. Hunter was motivated to do this. So I didn't have time to break down boxes. I've been recording things. I've been building my magic. I have a diabolical plan to help moms be able to reclaim their power in the medical industry when it comes to birth. So I'm working on that. So I've been doing that and I haven't had time to get in the back room. But yesterday, Hunter comes out and he's like, I've done all the cardboard that I can do right now. I'm like, are you serious? You already did it? He's that motivated. So he's looking at this crumb of a basement area and a back room as I finally get my own room. He's grateful for that. And other people have been like, you're going to put your kid in the basement. Why don't you just get a second, go move, get a bigger house? Like, no, because the thing is, I don't need to do that yet. We can piece together that part. At the same time, my daughter was complaining and saying, but I want my own room. And it's like, sweetheart, this is where the bakery comes in. She's like, I want my own room. It's like, I know you do. I know you do. And it will happen because I have patience and I've been working diligently towards this and it's going to happen. I don't know when, but we've got to have patience. And the best way is to recognize, hey, we've got a cake and we don't actually have to piece the cake together with crumbs anymore. Sometimes we can buy the cake, not all the time, but sometimes we can buy the cake. The fact that her brother is going to possibly be moving out of the bedroom and have his own space is going to be a cake for her because now she's got more space because his bed will be gone and her bed will be brought down and his bunk bed is actually a little bit bigger. So we have a double bed and then we have a twin up top. So the twin will come down. She'll have some extra inches of space. The dresser will also be moved. She'll have to have her stuff under the bed, which she grumbled about. She's like, I don't want my stuff in bins under the bed. And at the same time, you'll be able to pull things out, though, much easier than trying to pull them out of those drawers that get stuck on you. She's like, I guess that's okay. I'm like, yes. And remember when we had nothing? Remember when the house fire happened and all our furniture was gone? I would have loved to have saved the dresser from my childhood that I had wanted to pass down to her, but we couldn't get that out of there. It was ruined by the fire. This was an antique dresser that had been passed down through the generations of my family, and I couldn't take it with me. So it's like I wanted to do that, but it's like, you know what, sweetheart? At some point, we're going to have a bigger house. It's going to be on the beach. It's going to be bright. You're going to have your own room. You're going to have your own closet. You're going to have your own drawers. You can decorate your room however you want to. And right now, this is what we have. So can we be happy that we're here because we've made it already? We're not at the point where we're in that other basement suite where we had to hold the door closed and then deadbolt it and the doorknob didn't even do anything. It was literally just nailed on. And it was so, when I think back to what I had to settle for, and I was even grateful for that after the fire, because I'm like, yay, I've got a place. It's not much, but it's a place. It's not a room. It's like a place for us to put our stuff. Thank goodness. Like being able to do that all my life, to accept those crumbs and turn them into a cake. Because some people will just look at those crumbs and say, all I ever have is crumbs, and that's all that's ever going to be. And they don't see that they can make it a cake. So wherever you're at in building a business or in trying to form a relationship or trying to build your dreams and you see crumbs, you can put those crumbs together and make a cake. It might be a small cake at first, but then the more you do that, the more you recognize, oh, I am able to do this. I am able to be resilient. And as you get back on your feet, because you've now made a cake and you're able to be fed, now you have more strength to push towards other things that allow you to be able to buy a cake and then get the bakery. So I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, I can get what I need. And I can actually get more of what I need now because I have more resources available to me, which I can now piece together to make a bigger cake. And it's like I can buy a cake and then I can make it bigger with these crumbs that I've also gotten. So it's like it's kind of haphazard little cake, but it works. And maybe I add some sprinkles that I didn't have before. And maybe I add some strawberries because I love strawberries on top of cake. It's like that's actually better than ice cream. I would rather have a cake that had whipped cream and ice and like strawberries on top rather than icing. Icing's way too much sugar for me. So having that, and then being like, oh yeah, I've got this now. Or getting like plain ice cream and going like, can you tell I'm hungry and I kind of want to have some strawberries and something sweet? Totally. I'm owning that right now. But you get the idea. You find all of these little things that other people don't notice. And you piece together something amazing. And then you get to the point where you have this amazing thing that nobody else thought to create. And you put it out there and suddenly everybody wants it. And they're signing up and now you have enough to get a bakery because they're like, oh my gosh, this thing that you have, this cake, can you make that for me? And then you're like, yeah, I probably could do that. Can you custom make it? Yeah, okay. Well, now I need a bakery. And then you create your bakery from that. So again, I took a lot of the knowledge and little tiny pieces and things that people wouldn't think to put together. And I've created my book. I've created my program from that. I've created videos and I'm putting it out there. And I don't know when it's going to happen. However, I know that eventually someone's going to see it and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, now it's going to go viral. Because right now, I've got a few clients that have gone through. I have moms that I've helped who saw my cake and they tried it and they love it and they're raving about it. And they know I have a bakery, but it's just a tiny little hole in the wall bakery that nobody knows about really. There's only a few people who really understand like the bakery. It hasn't turned into a franchise yet. But my little bakery will turn into a franchise and it will be incredible. And everybody is going to love this cake who needs to have it. Like the ones that are meant to try this cake, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, like this is the most amazing thing ever. And you have something like that too. But at the same time, you might not see it yet, or you might be at the point where it's just a little thing, or it might be the point where it's just crumbs. And I'm going to remind you that even those crumbs are precious. So don't settle for the crumbs. The crumbs are not all it is. Find your crumbs, put it together and make a cake out of it. See what you can actually create. I mean, as I said, I've risen up from the ashes, literally risen up from the ashes on my birthday, November 17th, 2019 birthday. I was going into my burned house. We walked in and I saw the destruction of it. And most people probably would have burst into tears and cried and said, there's nothing left. I kept going. I sifted through all of the stuff in the like, first I'm like, okay, what in the back is okay? Because the back room wasn't touched as badly. So I went into the playroom and I looked at that stuff and I'm like, oh, we can save this. And I started saving most of the kids' toys. And I saved some stuffed animals. Then I went into my bedroom and I'm like, okay, well, we can save that too. Look, there is this stuffed animal, the kitty meow meow stuffed animal that Michaela got when she was 2 years old that I had gotten for her, the little pink stuffed kitty that can be salvaged. And oh, there's Ewan, Hunter's collie dog, his stuffed dog that he loved so much. I can save that. Oh, there's Chase and Marshall from Paw Patrol. Oh, there is Uzan, which was one of our stuffed cats, based off of, he looked like one of my cats from when I was a teenager, and I named him Angelus, but then I called him Katsu, and then I said it backwards, and it was Uztak, and then we went with Uzan, and then he was the Uz. So yeah, I know I'm weird. I know I'm weird, and I love it. So if you ever hear my kids talk about Uzan or me talk about Uzan, that's where that comes from. It was a really beloved cat that I had when I was 15. And then he passed away. We had to put him down just after I found out I was pregnant with Hunter. And it was really like that cat has been a symbol for Hunter. So he just loves it. He'd seen it when he was probably about maybe 9 months old. He'd seen it in one of my bags as I was going through the closet and he loved it. So I saved that. And there was this little, like, I called it special. It was like one of those little blankets that had the little bunny head or like the stuffed animal head, but it was all flat. It had like little ribbon trim. And this was something that was like a childhood treasure. I'd had this since I was about 5 years old. Well, 4 or 5 years old. And before that, I'd had another one, but I'd lost it. And then this was the replacement. So I'd been holding on to that. When I was 14, I had my Nana put it away for me, and I told her to give it to me when I was going to have children. I gave it to Hunter. He didn't really care much about it, but Michaela sleeps with that. So I salvaged that too. So even though like my house had been destroyed, I was able to salvage. And the same thing with my business. I looked at that and I'm like, okay, my computer is completely melted here. However, I did save some things on the cloud. So I took what was on the cloud, which wasn't much, and I rebuilt. And the same thing when I looked at my books, I was able to save my books. And that was precious to me. I was able to save Pokemon cards. Going through the destruction of my house, people had told me that my video games and my DVDs, since they'd been in the front of the house with the worst of the damage, that was going to be gone. But I went through and I noticed that the drawer had been stuck, and my ex pulled at the drawer and the games were fine. I mean, the cases were a little warped, but the games inside were fine. And when I pried open the DVDs that had been at the back of the side of the living room, and the fire department had even said, yeah, that's probably all gone. I pried those apart and I got at least half my DVD collection. So you see, even in destruction, if you have patience and are willing to go through and do that work, even if it's like slogging through all of the garbage and the soot and the ashes, and you're going through that, like looking for something, your treasures might still remain and you'll have enough to piece together. You might just have enough to piece together. So I was able to take what was left and I pieced it together. And I'm like, okay, I still have this. I still have this. It's not much. And it's a start. It's more than I thought. Even some of my clothes were okay. Not all of them, but you know that little sundress that I sometimes wear, the one that's black and it's like a bodycon dress and it's got the flowers. It's really, really comfortable. It's got really soft cotton material. It's the most breathable sundress. I love to wear it, especially in the summer when it's hot. It's like my lounge around the house dress or my go to the park and hang out dress. That one survived the fire. So I'm like, okay, I have that. mean, half my closet is melted. Like, it was devastating. And that one survived. So when you look at that and then you're like, okay, I can slowly start to add to that. So after I left my ex for good and we moved into this basement suite, I still didn't have very much. To start out with, I didn't even have a couch. And I manifested a couch within like a month and a half. I said, okay, I want a great couch, want it small enough, fits in the living room, but I want a sectional so that I can stretch my legs out on one side. And I found the couch and it was $300. Somebody was just getting rid of it. And I'm like, sweet. And so I was able to piece together and add pieces. Same with my wardrobe. I didn't have much. I was wearing other people's clothes because I didn't have much that I could salvage from the fire. So I'm like, okay, that's fine, because now I can start to add to my wardrobe and I can get it the way I wanted it. So now all of my clothes in my collection are like 90% mine. There's maybe one or two things that I wanted to keep, but the rest I've paid it forward and sent it out. And that's the thing, is that as you get to be more established, you can add pieces because you already have the foundation. You've built it. You know you can build a cake from crumbs. Now you can take more pieces and be like, okay, now this cake isn't just a tiny crumb cake. Now this cake also has some whipped cream. It has some strawberries. It's now more delicious than just the crumbs that I pieced together. And I was happy with the crumb cake because I'm like, wow, I took these crumbs and I made a cake. But now the cake's even better. And then you get to a point where it's like, well, now I can buy a cake and I can add the pieces to this cake and make it even better. And then you get to the point where it's like, I've got the bakery and I know how to customize things and I know how to take the little things so that if the bakery ever burned down, then you can be like, oh, but I can rebuild the bakery because I know the foundation. People who just inherit the bakery, they might not have those skills. So that's the other thing, is like, you got to be able to work your way up. And that leads to my final part about patience, but also about accepting your failures and owning them and being okay with them. Yeah, it really sucked that my house burned down. Yeah, it really sucked that I had to deal with crumbs for a long time in my life. At the same time, if I'd never had those really hard experiences of just taking what I could get and turning it into something beautiful anyway, even when like it was like, okay, like Cinderella being locked in her attic, she made that work and she became friends with the mice and she ended up making a pretty nice little space for her. She's like, at least I'm away from my stepsisters and all their nastiness. So you can make do with anything while still believing that one day you're going to be living in the palace. And if you continue to believe, it will come true. So I'm okay. I'm really okay. People sometimes are like, oh, well, you know, you could have better. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And it's coming. And like, it will come to me. And I'm okay where I'm at right now. I don't need to settle. No, I don't have to go off of my plan just to get something now, the instant gratification. No, I don't need the instant gratification. I can be happy where I'm at because I know how to make a cake out of crumbs. So that's my gift to you today, is to remind you that patience and the willingness to take those pieces and recognize that even the crumbs can be leading to something beautiful can allow you to keep doing it, to keep going, because then eventually you will have the bakery. But if you continue to stay and be like, oh, I've got crumbs and I'm not going to even try to make a cake, or I've got crumbs and I can make a cake, but I'm not going to try to make it better. I'm not going to add any extra pieces to it because I'm just going to stay with my little crumb cake. And I'm not going to try to get the bakery because that's too hard. It won't happen, because you'll still just be stuck thinking that this is good enough. No, there's always a next level. And you can look at your crumb cake and still think it's beautiful. And you can look at your more decorated cake and think that's awesome. You can think it's awesome that you can buy the cake. And you can also be like, and I still want the bakery. Because, come on, you know you want the bakery. I don't know what your bakery is, but you know what your dream is. You know what that big audacious dream is that you think is too hard to get. Well, you don't have to go for the bakery right away. Start with the cake. All right. Now I am going to go and write out the outline for my last video that I'm going to do. And I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to read for a bit, probably focus on something else and let my magic do its thing, because I like to take a step back once I create something and let the seeds sprout. You don't keep planting seeds in the same spot after the seeds have been planted. You start watering them. And you don't water them every single day when like the soil is still like wet, because then you'll kill them. You'll overwater. So you got to let it breathe again. You got to let some sunshine get through. So yeah, I'm going to finish my last video and then I'm going to enjoy the sun, because today it is supposed to get up to 19 degrees Celsius. It is going to be warm and sunny, and I'm going to sit out with my lawn chair at the school. I'm going to walk over. I'm going to set that up. I'm going to go get Michaela. We're going to drop her stuff off at the house, and then we're going to just enjoy ourselves. I can't wait. I'm very excited. And tomorrow, TELUS is coming and they're going to give me faster internet, because that's another thing that the universe decided to just surprise me with, was getting a phone call and them saying, you're paying too much and we're going to give you 10 times like what you're getting on the internet because we've got faster service now. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll totally book some time off for you to come in and do that. And it's Friday, so I take Fridays off anyway. Just FYI, I don't work on Fridays. Fridays, especially in the summer, are my day to rest and enjoy. And then I take the weekend, and depending on what my mood is, I do things. I mean, if an opportunity presented itself and it was a really good opportunity, I would be persuaded to possibly seize that on a weekend that I don't have the kids, like this one. But, I'm good with whatever. I can make cake out of crumbs. All right. So I will talk to you later. I love you. And if you do have the sun, go enjoy it. Bye now.